Despite Russia pulling out of the grain deal, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he believed President Putin wants the deal revived and that he would discuss the issue when the two leaders met in person next month.
Despite the statement made today, I believe that my friend Putin, President of the Russian Federation, wants this continuation of this humanitarian bridge of Black Sea grain deal. When we, Putin and I, come together in Turkey in August, we will have the opportunity to discuss all these issues. We will also talk about how we can act to pave the way for the shipment of Russian grain and fertilizers. Today, our foreign minister will have a meeting with his Russian counterpart, and with this meeting, I hope that we can quickly proceed and resume the grain deal without interruption. Maybe in the meantime, we can take further steps with a phone call with Mr. Putin without waiting for August.
All right, Chief Correspondent John Cookson has been monitoring developments and he joins us now from London. John, great to see you. Let's start with Crimea. What more can you tell us about what's happened with the attack on the Kerch bridge?
Hi, ladies. Good to see you as well. The details are still rather sketchy. As you said in the intro, the bridge, the road bridge, that is, it seems to be closed at the moment, and it was attacked, as you said, last October, and the Russians had it quickly repaired within a few days. And now we don't know the extent of the damage here, apart from the visuals that we're getting at the moment. The railway section of the bridge, which the Russians can still use to transport armaments and supplies from Russia to Crimea, is still open. So it's the road section which carries a lot of traffic. I mean, thousands and thousands of cars, trucks and other vehicles every day. It does seem to be closed at the moment. Sadly, 2 people lost their lives in the attack. They were Natalia Kilic, she was age 36, and Alexander, her husband, he was age 40, both from Belgorod. They were on the bridge at the time when the attack took place at around 3 a.m. local time, and they were killed outright. Their daughter, fortunately, has survived, but with severe injuries. The Ukrainians haven't claimed responsibility for carrying out the attack yet, although President Zelensky did tweet a short time ago saying that illegal structures to deliver Russian weapons of mass destruction are necessarily short-lived. So that's an indirect claim, I think, that the Ukrainians were behind the attack, as indeed they ultimately admitted to in the previous attack in October. American intelligence planes have been overflying the area all morning, looking to see what they can see of the damage. But it is a blow to the Kremlin, and the symbolism of the bridge cannot be understated too much.
Definitely. The nearly 12-mile crossing, also known as the Kerch Bridge, is of course the longest in Europe and holds huge strategic and symbolic importance for Moscow. But can you delve more into why it is so important to the Russians, this bridge?
Well, it's symbolic. It's a symbol of the regime run by President Putin. He actually opened the bridge by driving a Mercedes car over it in 2018. He's been encouraging Russians to go on holiday for their summer holidays in Crimea using the bridge. But as I say, the railway section, which the Russian military still use and can use, is open. So it is a blow to the military and the resupply route to ports like Sevastopol, which is the headquarters of the Russian Navy in that part of the world. So it's more the symbolism than anything else. And the attack was carried out, we understand, from intelligence institutions have been tweeting that some kind of underwater drones were used in this attack, and you can be sure that the Russians will be trying to collect every scrap of what's left of them to try to identify where the drones came from, because for Russia it will be a great propaganda coup to say that they'd identify them as drones supplied by, for example, the UK. So we'll hear perhaps more about that in the coming days and weeks. But as I say, it's more the symbolism of this attack on a very important strategic bridge, which represents the regime in the Kremlin. I have also to say that there are other road routes into Crimea around the Sea of Azov, but the Kerch Bridge is the major route.
Well said, John. Now, according to Russia, it's pulled out of the Black Sea grain deal. Is there any hope of getting the Kremlin back around the negotiating table?
A lot of hope. I think, these things always go to the wire. It's been renewed 3 times already, and Russia always agrees in the end, because it wants to see grain exported through the Black Sea to the rest of the world. Ultimately, because a lot of that is Russian grain, as well as 35 million tons of Ukrainian grain. Now, what is happening behind the scenes at the moment is that the Russians are trying to strike a deal with the UN and Turkey, who brokered the deal last year, that they can try to persuade Western governments to relax certain sanctions that are in force against Russia, which limits Russian exports of fertilizers. That's very crucial to the Russian economy, to get that sanction lifted if possible. There's also, the Russians are pushing to be part of the SWIFT banking system again. At the moment, they're excluded from that banking system. So there's a lot of backroom maneuvering going on at the moment. I have absolutely no doubt that there will be an extension, possibly for, say, a month, until that meeting takes place that Erdogan was talking about between him and the Russian president in August. Meanwhile, things could go wrong. The Russians may decide that they don't want to be part of this, and there are countries throughout the world, especially those in Africa, that are desperate for this grain. They include Sudan, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and Yemen, and they really need this grain. So it's in the best interests of so many people for this grain deal to be renegotiated, and I'm fairly confident that it will be.
All right, then before we let you go, John, Russia's foreign ministry believes that Western countries could be complicit in what it's, of course, calling the Ukrainian terrorist attack on the Crimea bridge. Any follow-up on this? Has this been proven, or is this something that we have to wait and see?
Well, as I say, they will be pulling the wreckage of the drones out of the water or off the bridge. I think I've seen images of them sweeping up already this morning, and they'll be trying to identify the source of the drones, and it would be a propaganda coup for Russia to be able to say it was, for example, a UK supplied drone, which feeds into the Putin narrative that he's fighting against the wicked West and NATO is encroaching on Russia, and look what they've done to our bridge. So we'll have to wait and see where the investigation goes on that. But I'm fairly sure that whoever did the firing of the drones were probably Ukrainian, but helped with helped with US intelligence. They monitor the bridge night and day, satellites, US satellites in space, so they can tell the Ukrainians exactly what's going on. As I say, it's wait and see for now, but I'm sure Russia will love to pin it on some NATO source as a supplier of these drones.
Fantastic analysis as always. We'd like to say a big thank you to you, Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson. Thank you for your time on Newsday.